was presented with an ethical dilemma, because the cats get outside time. I'm not one of these characters where it's like, oh, don't let you. I don't leave them out all day, but they get time, right? They love running around in the grass. It's fun. And one of them, Rambo, the orange one especially. Well, guess what? He's a wild one. He wants to get around. He wants to be loose. I got a GPS tracker so that if he gets lost, he can still be found and kind of like track down everything else. But guess what happened today? He's perusing. He's kind of he's sleuthing about as a cat would. Caught himself a little not a mouse. What are the different levels of field mouse? It's not a mole. It's not like a big ass mouse with a long ass tail either. I think it's a vole, kind of just a little guy, tiny. So I see he's playing with him. He's watching him. Just he's not wild. He's not a wild cat. He's getting fed twice a day in the house, and he's used to 68-degree air conditioning. So he doesn't eat him. He's just freaking messing with him. So it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Do I sit here and let nature take its course? Let him get eaten or killed at least? Or, well, this cat isn't actually in the natural order of things out in the wild. Do I save him? Do I save the little mouse? And I felt bad for him, so I reached out, just kind of like how you'd scruff like a little kitten or something, a little tiny finger scruff of the mouse. Let him go. Lucky mofo gets to live one more day just because I felt bad for him. But that's good. That's the first confirmed, let's say, capture, not confirmed kill of the orange one. But yeah, so I'm sure that not necessarily crazy exciting for me. Definitely an exciting day for him, and he got after it. Fucking animal instinct, and that's what I want to bring that out for myself today. Right, I've got an arm workout, so it's nothing like going after a predator or something, but it's got its own gutturalness or not guttural. It's got its own primalness for me as a human being, because instead of just chilling on your phone, now you're actually really exerting yourself. You're going for it. So I want to get myself into a good headspace to exert myself for this arm day. But in terms of exactly what it's going to look like, that's where my accuracy of prediction kind of starts to dwindle. I'm not totally certain. I definitely want to get some dips involved, so I'm going to branch out from the private gym, make my way to a different one that has an actual dip machine, and not only has one, but has the one that I like. And then I'm looking at a truck where the back of the hitch has a ton of like messages written out talking about gang stalking. All right, sorry to distract our talk about this arm day. That's too interesting not to. Oh, it's all over. It's on the side. I wish I took a picture, but. Yeah, so I know machine dips will be involved because I haven't had those in the routine for a couple days, or a couple arm days, rather. But beyond that, we'll see what happens, right? Curls never really change too much. Easy bar, preacher, cable, dumbbell. A curl's a curl for the most part. I wouldn't freak too much about any specifics, but triceps, you've got regular push downs, you've got overhead extensions, you've got regular dips, you've got kind of cross body slashing kind of extensions. There's a lot of ways to do it, and I think that your triceps are going to benefit much more from varied loading than your biceps would. I think you can get away with some basic dumbbell curls much more than you could with just only doing like one kind of push down indefinitely for your triceps, just because they get hit. They're just more complicated, right? Try 3 different parts by 2 different parts. You get your long head, you got the short head you got the medial. There's a whole bunch of shit going on. So that's where I'm gonna want my tricep days or my tricep workouts to be a bit more involved than I would biceps themselves. And then on top of that, my triceps are already a little bit behind my biceps in terms of my arm development, so I want to hit them extra hard and a little bit smarter anyway, just to kind of, get them back on track. But I was just listening to a clip from Dorian Yates. I don't know how recent or old this kind of phrase was, and I agree with it 100%. I never heard him say it, which made me think it, but he was getting into imbalances. So it's like your chest is a little bit underdeveloped in your arms, or maybe your quads are a bit underdeveloped to your back, or vice versa, or anything. What do? Do you start doing like 3 chest days a week instead of 2? Do you start doing more chest work instead of 2? Like for me, my triceps have been behind the game. Like, do I need to hit triceps 5 times a week and like do like feeder workouts or things like that? It's like, what's the answer? And the way you said it was, there isn't necessarily a massive benefit in just purely increasing frequency and volume of whatever workload you're giving that one lacking body part. You're saying that what is really going to actually have a serious effect is just bringing more focus and intensity to the workouts that you're doing for that body part than you were previously, which for me I noticed in a pretty, or at least a reasonably dramatic way for my triceps. Because if you go back, like if you look up, you can probably sort all these workout videos by upload date and then go to the early ones. My earlier arm days look very different than they do now. I was doing super heavy push downs, but not getting much of a full stretch at all. I never did light squeezing stuff. It was just always heavy. And now that I've branched off and my tricep training at least just varies more, obviously better range of motion, but beyond that, just doing more different styles of sets in total, I really do think it's had at least a reasonable benefit for me. So it's not exactly doing more, doing less, or doing more frequently. It's just doing better. Not doing more, but doing better. So that's kind of one of the mentalities I like to adopt, where it's not necessarily that I'm thinking about the entire workout as a big cohesive unit. It's more so I'm just putting effort into whatever individual set I'm doing in that moment. And then once that's done, I'll think about the next one. Once I'm done with a set of leg extensions, I'll think about the next set of leg press. Because, I want to be in the moment and like 100% present to really bring whatever I'm actually doing in that, instant, rather than distract myself by looking at a picture, or looking at a whole big picture, when what I really need to do is focus on details that add up to the whole thing, if you sort of follow me. But I think nothing else to say there. It's Thursday, 5 o'clock. Is it going to be packed or is it going to be dead? It's Jug Day over here, which is, I think, the biggest day for my local county fair, to have a lot of horse racing. So I feel like a lot of people are going to be doing that. I bet it'll be dead. But you know what? Let's just find out in freaking 1 second. Alright, let's keep it classic. Tries first, followed by buys, followed by pose down, followed by go eat some food. Okay. Yeah, one more of these. Two. Two. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, let's move on to something else. I think that's enough of the rope for now. All right, let's do 3 push downs, 3 curls. So this curl machine will be good next. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh, yeah, one more. Okay. Let's do some dips. Let's get heavy with this one, as long as I can pick a good song. Okay. Oh, one more. Actually, no, what am I saying? 2 more, I think. One more, then I'm not sure what kind of curl I want to do next. Give me a moment to decide. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, one more. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's all. Oh my gosh. All right, so I think I've actually uncovered some new badass lighting. Very simple. I'm talking just one freaking little bulb, but cooler than expected. So in terms of pumpness, honestly, I'm feeling a little T-Rex-ish. You know, I didn't do any forearm, but the residual forearm blood flow and activation that I did get, I mean, they're full. They're full. And then the arm pump test of finger to shoulder, zero contact. So that tells me, at a bare minimum, is my arms have some blood flowing through them. So let's actually see how they're looking. There we go. All right. Yeah, why not start from the back? Ooh. Oh, goodness. Oh my gosh. I always have a goal when it comes to to an arm pump check post-workout. And if I remember that I'm going to splice in this image right here. A certain Mr. Lee Priest, a certain Mr. Lee Priest, more like Lee Beast, let's be honest. But every time I hit that front lat spread with an arm pump, makes me feel like Lee Priest. I'm not visually like Lee Priest, of course, but just that sensation, you know, let a lift a dream. You know what I'm saying? Don't put me down because I'm not Lee Priest. But no, having an arm pump, having any pump, I don't have to argue its quality. But I mean, it's really a glimpse into your future self, at least in the lifting world, where it's like, I mean, shit. I don't know how many times or how many inches bigger my arms are now, totally unpumped, than they were, you know, maximum pump right when I started working out. You know, so at that time, I had pumped myself up to a basically glimpse of a future version of myself, and now I get to see what it looks like, right? So, you know, maybe that's not something that, you know, itches a certain, or scratches a certain itch that everybody has, but there's not other things like that. You know, there's not a ton of things where in the practice or in the pursuit of something, you actually see what it's going to be like for you to appear or to physically be at a higher level. You know, usually it's just a kind of slow, peek away like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it. It's like, dude, if you see your arms totally pumped up, you don't need visualization, right? You don't need to imagine what you're gonna look like with slightly bigger arms. You can come into the gym and see it. You can see it as at least a current reality for a moment. And if anything, that probably makes it the most feasible to continue pursuing it, because you already know, like you've already been there, you've already done it. You've already seen your arms pump up to 18 inches when normally they're 17. You know it's possible. And there's really nothing else like it. But I think that's all I got there with arms. So let's pack this shit up. Roll. All right. I would appear to have pulled one of the classic blunders, running out of gas. I'm looking low, but historically, 0 cruising range, 0 miles of cruising range really means like 12 at the minimum. I've never actually like totally ran out of gas before, but I've certainly come close, to the point where like I'm, pretty much on the low end, actually a little bit, let's call it the danger zone. Let's call it activates my danger sense just a touch. But I think I'll be able to make it today. Yeah, I'll be good. And if you have a positive mentality about a situation like that, well, then it'll kind of just manifest into the world. So actually, the fact that I think I'm good means I will be good, and there's nothing to worry about. So now plan is to, go get gas, of course, but I know I'm going to make it, and then refuel myself physically. I'm thinking, I got a carton of egg whites I need to cook up, so I think that'll be the plan today. I'll go omelet style. So what I mean by that is, well, I don't know. Cook your eggs how you like them. But when it comes to egg whites, there's not really a ton of finessing the system you can do. They're either cooked or they're not cooked. There's not much actual getting around that. So how I look at it is, well, just low temp, healthy spray of some kind of oil just to make sure it doesn't stick, and then let that thing sit. Right? Wait a little while. If I crank it too high, well, then I'm just going to burn the shit out of them. But by nearing the end stage of that cooking process, sprinkle on some, now that I'm dieting, fat-free cheese, cheddar or mozzarella. I'm not picky. I always get one back of both just so I can change it up. And then, kind of hate it on. Personally, I think it's a good match. Add some Sweet Baby Ray's sugar-free barbecue sauce. I know people hype up G. Hughes. I don't have a particular favorite sauce yet. I'm still dabbling, trying to get my hands on all of them individually just so I can really know what I'm talking about. But really any, right? Your diet soda of choice, or your diet barbecue sauce of choice, will likely work. God damn. That guy thrashed his truck through somebody's fence into a tree. No ambulance, and that tells me everybody's all right. But I'm glad I'm not him. That's all I can say about that. But essentially, melted cheese in the center, flip the nearly cooked or basically finely cooked egg whites over top of itself, plate, and then add a healthy amount of that sugar-free barbecue sauce on top. Or a sugar-free teriyaki, really a sugar-free anything. I think eggs get a little bit of a salt and pepper only vibe. And some people like ketchup. You're going to call me crazy for doing barbecue sauce when some people are doing ketchup on their eggs. But the egg whites are so... Somebody just kind of jumped in front of me. A lot of distractions today on this drive. This is something. But back to what I was saying too. The egg whites are so plain. It's like you're eating nothing. You're eating this kind of just thing. It doesn't have much of its own flavor. Like you're not going to put barbecue sauce on a steak if it's a good steak. But with egg whites, there's just nothing to it. So that's where I treat it as an open canvas. I'll put anything on it. I'm talking just straight mustard. I'm talking barbecue sauce. I'm talking teriyaki. I'm talking buffalo. I'm talking whatever you can give me, right? And then even go back to some classics: hot sauce, red hot Tabasco. Maybe do a low carb bread toast That's usually a good combo as well. Kind of up your fiber game a little bit. But really what I'm trying to get at is the point of the meal, especially dieting, really is that macronutrient value. It's not so much exactly what it looks like, or is it super appealing, or does it look good in like an Instagram scroll through, like full day of eating where everybody's doing like steak with an avocado toast, or that's a cool like those are good. Like, I'm not saying I look at anything like that and think that's a bad meal, especially if the macros are legit. But I think in practice, things like that are like a full day of eating where it's like it's so pretty and nice. Like that's a TV show about dieting. Anybody who's really into the thick of it, they know what it's like to eat some shit that's on the unorthodox side of things. I'm talking doing like when you get to the point where you're eating a bowl of like 2 cans of tuna in water, so it's only got a gram of fat each, and then you're mixing that up with your own your own kind of sweet mustard, or what you do is you mix yellow mustard. For all intents and purposes, calorieless, because all it is just ground seeds with some, I think, is it vinegar? Well, either way, with a like a 0 sugar sweetener like you'd put in coffee, just so you can kind of have a little bit of a sweeter blend of stuff, and then you got 2 rice cakes on the side of it. Of course, that's deep into dieting, like for the prep of the last competition season. That's not all the time, but it's like once you've really seen that you kind of have to get real with that food intake for the results to reflect what you really want, you get less picky, and being a picky eater is absolutely not conducive with reaching your physical goals, be it getting bigger, getting leaner, either one, because you're trying to limit what foods you can eat. It's just not going to work, so that's where I think a bit of a personal shamelessness about the food that you're eating will come into play. And it's not even a shamelessness, but it's just like an objective understanding that a bowl of 50 grams of protein worth of ground beef next to like a bowl of 40 grams of carbs of rice with like steamed vegetables on the side, and salt and pepper and like a low sugar barbecue sauce. Like once you see that is a really good productive meal, because you're getting full from the ground beef, you're still getting some carbs, you're eating extra vegetables, not because of their micronutrient density, but because they're just extra fiber to kind of fill your stomach up and make it feel like you're more full. Well, then you do start to get the big picture, I feel, right? I say this a lot, and there's a reason I say it, because I think it makes a lot of sense. The idea that once you start tracking your macros and tracking your weight on the scale, it's really not unlike Neo when he got plugged in with Morpheus doing all that freaking training, and he starts to really see the system at play, because most people don't think twice about it. We have a basic understanding of healthy foods and unhealthy foods, but even then, like there's no nuance to that system, right? Like the idea that people say, like regardless of calorie intake or anything, like bread makes you fat, or just any random dieting jargon, like the fact that still takes precedent, and that people are like getting a substantial amount of their day's calories from a crazy like 100 gram of carb Starbucks drink, and then skipping lunch, and then having like a weird dinner. Like I'm as weird as you might think it is for somebody to eat bodybuilding style meals, sometimes I'm not exposed to it as much now, but especially when I was in college and I would see what people were eating in like dining halls or just like in class, like it kind of made me surprised that some people are even alive, because I know there's people out there that get 0 grams of protein per day, because they're not just gonna, and I'm not trying to dog on you, but especially the 4%ers out there, like no girl is just eating 30 grams of protein worth of ground beef just because. Like it doesn't happen, so I don't even I mean, it's something where once you get it, you can't unget it, and you end up sticking with it. I don't know anybody who's really gotten into macro tracking who doesn't at least still maintain some semblance of, consistency with their diet, or at least knowledge of it, because they know how impactful it is. I would not get any leaner over these next few months if I didn't think about my diet at all and I just ate whatever I wanted. As hard as I could work out, as much cardio as I could do, if I let the floodgates open every time I wanted to eat something and didn't try to track it, didn't try to limit it, and didn't try to control it, well, then guess what? I would look exactly the same, if anything, probably worse, because then I'm not going to open the fridge and think, man, I'd love to eat 50 grams of protein right now, if the alternative could be I don't know, like 3 grilled cheeses or something like that. Like, if I'm just thinking pure, what is my mental preference for food? Well, the things that I would prefer to eat, or that I could think of as like kind of more of a treat, or just like, well, it's just not lifting conducive, So the fact that I get that value from knowing that's the purpose of these meals is what makes me eat them specifically. But I'm not trying to torture myself either, so that's why I make the meals as tasty for me as I can, or at least as I need them to be, so I can stick with it. But I'll get another video pretty soon where I'll actually bust out the whiteboard and essentially describe what I would call the Sulik method of dieting, both bulking and cutting down. And it's not like none of those ideas or none of the things that I do are necessarily super individual to me. It's just, bits and pieces I've kind of picked up all over the place. But for me, it works, and I can back it up with my own understanding and how it's actually worked for me. But some guys get crazy lean, or they get seriously big and going about dieting a completely different way than me. Like, maybe they're not into calories, they're into more of a meal tracking kind of thing, or just like whatever, right? There's more than one way to do it. That's what I'm really trying to get at. But yeah, Sheets is just a mile. It's just a mile in that direction. So I think I'm gonna make it. I guess I'll update that for you tomorrow. But I've got hamstrings tomorrow. I think I might spice it up. I think I might want to spice it up and do hamstrings and shoulders. Because really, hamstrings only, dieting, it's not the craziest thing in the world. Honestly, I might just do hamstrings on my own. Like, just camp out and do my own hamstring curls. And then we can I might just record the shoulder portion, just because I feel like I haven't had a shoulder workout recorded for so long. But either way, there will be a lift tomorrow. What exactly it is, I guess you'll just have to see then. But I'll see you tomorrow.